Okay. Oh, there you go. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, or Doctor Strange 2, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to tell you what I thought about the movie because I went to go see it. Ten, well, I guess this night because I'm recording this at midnight. So, yeah. I finished seeing the movie at 9 o'clock, and it is now midnight. So I've had about 3 hours to think about it. It was. I'm gonna start off with a non-spoiler. Make it fairly quick. It was. It was better than the first one, but also did a lot of weird things. In a non-spoiler way, I'm gonna touch on what feels different about this versus the other one. This one has a much better villain, and much better character progression, even for the supporting cast. I mean, Strange, I feel like Strange really gets a lot of exploration here. We get a lot more about Strange, which I feel like was always kind of missing when I looked at that movie and I compared it to every time we see him. Even in Ragnarok, I feel like you get more out of Strange than you do in Doctor Strange the movie. Not that it's a bad movie. I like the first movie, but I do feel like you kind of miss a little bit of Strange being himself in a way that doesn't come out unless you see him in the other movies like Ragnarok, Infinity War, and even in Endgame. Even though he doesn't show up, spoiler, he doesn't show up until the ending. So, I you see a little bit more of him. This one has a lot more of him being himself to an incredible degree. There is a character that is introduced. She's in the movie poster. Her name is America Chavez. I can't remember how to pronounce the last name. But that is also her name, and I believe her superhero title. I'm not 100% sure. But she plays pretty big role in the movie. So does Wanda. Wanda's in this movie. Scarlet Witch is in this movie. She plays a really big role in the movie. And yeah, they're just hopping through the multiverse. We see a lot of things. Can't go into it, but I think the way it was done was pretty good. It made me not too overwhelmed. I think they did a good job doing it, like here's a lot of it, but not too much where you kind of get overwhelmed and still kind of give a plot to it. I also liked it because I feel like it gave Raimi a lot of opportunities for setting. He created a lot of different settings with this, and it made it interesting because I'll be honest, there's actually points where we are in our own universe where it seems kind of bland, but then you think, well, that's because you're in all these other universes, so yeah, I mean, if you've seen the trailers, it's crazy. So I mean, you're in all these other universes, and it seems so interesting. Um, Plot wise, like I said, it brings out a lot of character. In terms of storytelling, it's good. I have some interesting thoughts about the ending because I'm trying to feel like, and it's still, keep in mind, it still has only been 3 hours, but I'm trying to wonder if the conclusion it feels okay. I think for Strange and Wanda individually, because Wanda goes through some things through this movie too, without going too deep into it. I think Strange and Wanda, they go through a lot of development. I want to say they both do. Their stories end pretty well, but I think the story itself felt a little. I don't know. The ending felt a little abrupt. Maybe to me, like it felt like the story, the actual plot itself, felt like it ended abruptly, but both of the characters got a proper ending to their character development. So I don't know what that means, but I think if you see the movie, you'll understand. I don't think it takes away too much from the movie. And I will say this movie tries a lot of things that you do not see in other Marvel movies, like at all. Okay. I want to say the title is very appropriate. the title is very appropriate. Multiverse of Madness is I mean, there's I won't go into it, but there is a key plot. It's a device in this movie, like a plot device, and it's used in what I think in the madness part of the title. It makes a lot of sense, and it drives a lot of characters kind of crazy, and it makes the whole story a lot more. It goes in a direction you didn't think it was gonna go, and then it's kind of matched with even more and more, and you slowly get more and more doses of it. I'm gonna say it right now. There's a lot of horror in this. There's a lot of horror. All right. I don't think it's a huge spoiler, but there's a lot of horror in this. Like there's dabbles of horror, and then there's more horror, and then there's a lot of horror, and you're like, well, that's a lot of horror. You're like, damn, that's a lot of horror. Yeah, it's just you kind of get hit with it. Yeah, hit it with a lot of like a grittiness at the beginning. Not grittiness, but a ruthlessness. Like there's some what is the word I'm looking for? Um there's like what like some not fatal wounds. Like it's pretty gory isn't exactly the right word, but something along that lines. You know, you start getting a taste of it at the beginning. You're like, oh, okay, you're like, wow, that's a, there's a thing at the beginning with two characters that you get introduced to, and then there's a thing where Strange is fighting this monster at the beginning, and he does a thing, and then you're like, whoa, that's kind of intense for a Marvel movie, and then you slowly keep going down the line. You're like, wow, this is kind of going at an interesting pace. It's going a little quick, and then you're getting dabbles of horror, and you're like, oh, okay, and then as you progress, that same thing comes, and you're like, whoa again, whoa, that was a lot, whoa, and it keeps going. And you're like, wow, this is yeah, yeah. So I think there's a lot of horror aspects, which is I liked it. I liked it. I felt my theater get kind of quiet towards the ending because there was a lot of it, and I felt like it kind of made some people a little uncomfortable because they weren't expecting it. Maybe that's just an assumption, but I could see like I was like, all right. But overall, I liked it. I think in terms of the girl, like the introduction of her, she's cool. Um, we got to go a little bit over her origin and stuff, and she grew on me. She grew on me. I think I don't know. Sometimes when I feel like characters like that, they kind of shoehorn. But with her, I was like, they let her breathe. I think for surprisingly, this movie's not that very like not well for a Marvel movie. It's not incredibly long. It's 2 hours long, 2 hours and 6 minutes. I think for that time, they did pretty well in terms of letting the characters like go, breathe and let them like progress through the story, and you kind of get used to them and like the new shifts and stuff. And you're like, oh, okay, okay, okay. Wong is in this. He's pretty cool. Still Sorcerer Supreme. There's some funny stuff with that. It's cool. Wong doesn't do. He does some. I think he does enough in terms of the supporting character. I think the girl here takes up more spot in the film, which is fine because she's like I said, she's kind of a key. Without me, like I can't explain it without going into spoilers, but she's kind of a key part of the whole plot. So you're like, okay, that's fair. Yeah, there's not really much else to talk about. The villain is interesting. Like you kind of understand where the villain's coming from in terms of like their motives. Like I said, the villain is better than the first one to me easily, but yeah, I think there's a there's an interesting way the villain uses the like the key device I talked about, the plot device that kind of explores like also Strange's side, because the villain, without going into it, the villain is using like a they're using a book. This is not. I don't. I'm just gonna say it. They're using a book that basically corrupts you as you use it. But then it's like it's kind of revealed that like this book is in other dimensions, and sometimes Strange uses it. Sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes he tries to work around it. Sometimes so it's kind of like the book in itself is the villain, but the villain is also using the book. And the villain also kind of has their own power that makes them stronger than the book sometimes, and it is a cool mix. It's basically like if you added more fire onto fire, and you're like, oh, this is such a terrible combination. Which is funny because the other universes, they don't understand when Strange explains this. Like he's like, they're using the book, and it's like, oh yeah, we know about that. It's like, no, 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 no. But they like explaining who the person is, and then they're like, yeah, we can handle them. They can, they don't. So yeah, it's just it is funny. I'm trying to think. Strange. I don't know how far I want to go with this. Um, Strange basically, there's a lot of things in this movie that are kind of explained that I didn't think I needed explaining, but as it's like it was said in the beginning, I was like, oh, okay, yeah. There's some things I never realized. And I was like, yeah, like it felt like Strange to me. Fit better in terms of I understood. Okay, he's actually done a lot of things behind the scenes that I didn't realize, and I was like, yeah, you kind of have like that super. He's more superhero than I give him credit for. Like this, I think that's the end thing I would leave it off with. This is that you go into this thinking like it's a Doctor Strange movie. I feel like when you come out of Doctor Strange, you don't think it's a superhero movie as much. You just think, okay, it's Doctor Strange. When you come out of this movie, you're like, okay, Doctor Strange is a superhero. That's his thing. Like he's a full blown superhero. Like in an Iron Man, like Captain America kind of way, he is a superhero, which is what I liked it. It was cool. Like I was like, I didn't think I needed that, but I was like, oh yeah, I actually kind of do. I guess he didn't feel like a superhero to me. Like he just felt like, oh, this is strange. I thought he just did his thing behind the scenes, but no, he is really a superhero. Like, so that was really cool. It was really cool to see. But yeah, I'm not gonna continue much out like on much else because I think I covered everything for the most part. I think in terms of rating, I'd give this thing probably like an 8, probably an 8. I'm gonna say I'm giving an 8, 8 point, yeah, 8, just an 8. I give it an 8, 8 out of 10. I usually give decimals, but I feel like 8 feels right for this. Like it feels good. I think I liked it enough where I was like, yeah. But I do also kind of see some people maybe going like maybe 7.7, just because for a Marvel movie they're thinking for other things, and this didn't really give what they were thinking they were gonna get. So I can totally understand where they're coming from. But yeah, to me, I'd say 8 out of 10. I'd recommend watching it in theaters. I feel like it's a really good experience in theaters, just because there are a lot of things that I don't feel like hit as well if you were to see it at home, especially those horror aspects. Those horror aspects, I knew they were coming because I could read the pace, and I was like, "Oh, we're doing this." Especially with the villain and Strange and the multiverse stuff, I was like, "Oh, we're gonna get a lot of scary stuff." It doesn't hit as hard. It still hit me because I was in the theater. If I was watching this at home, I guarantee you I wouldn't have felt it as much. So I recommend seeing this in theaters for sure. I usually don't say that because I feel like it's a little overblown, it's overrated, but for this, I'd say yeah, yeah. This is definitely a theater thing. But yeah, I'm now gonna go into spoilers. So you've been warned. I hope you enjoyed the movie. If you're still non-spoiler, but yeah, I'm gonna have to say goodbye to you and start with the spoiler talk in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so the twist. So actually, we're gonna start right at the beginning. Strange, as soon as they started in that scene where Strange basically wants to use America and instead of saving America, if that makes sense, that other version of Strange, and then him getting stabbed in the leg, I thought like, okay, well, two things. One, ooh, that's gory, which we saw later when he punctured right through the like that one monster's eye. I'm sorry if I'm forgot its name. I know someone explained in the comments of my trailer reaction what that monster's called. I keep forgetting. I'm sorry. But yeah, no, I was like, oh, this is gonna be gory. And the second thing that happened was I was like, oh, this is gonna be an analysis on our Strange and how like she's gonna learn like should I trust him? Like I knew immediately when she met him like I don't know if I should trust you, and this is gonna be a matter of her trying to grow into that. And also when Strange was at the wedding and it was whole described like oh you're always the one with the knife and everything. You always make decisions for yourself. You don't trust others, which I thought was a little hypocritical because I thought it was ironic because our Strange is the only one that actually in terms of the Thanos stuff was the only one that actually put his fate, like he put the fate of the universe into someone else's hands. Even though he knew it was going to play out that way, still, he trusted Tony. So I was like, like after it didn't bother me, but I thought about that at the end. I was like, you know what? That is a little ironic that we played that whole scheme, but like our Strange isn't really technically like that, and that was kind of already proven before the film even started. But I did like it because I was like, okay, well, he's getting challenged because of his love interest, saying that you're a little selfish. That's his that's his trait. Like that's his what's the word? His trait. That's just common throughout the entire thing is that he is selfish. Doctor Strange is very selfish, and he's with a girl that who is very, very valuable, very powerful, can go through dimensions, and he needs to have her gain his trust and also kind of grow out of that, behavior he has, which he doesn't grow out of it entirely, and it's not unrealistic because he still takes matters into his own hands, but at the end, he does put his trust in America, and she does save the day, more or less. She makes the right call. But yeah, so that happened, and then there's the plot twist in the movie where it's like, oh, we need Wanda's help. Oops, Wanda's the villain. Yeah, I'm kind of happy. I didn't. By the way, I didn't see anything else besides the first trailer, and that's why because I was like, I don't know if that's gonna be a thing, and I don't want to know if it's gonna be a thing. And it actually caught me by surprise when she did the turn, when she turned the whole forest into death. I was like, oh, this is what we're doing. Cool. I was like, damn, that's pretty scary. That also made me look at the scene at the end of Spider-Man, the post-credit scene, where they're in the forest. It made me look at that scene differently now. I'm like, you're in a dangerous place right now. This is gonna happen. And I really liked her whole thing. I think it worked. I know some people, man, she played such a horror like base character. I know some people probably would find it a little much, a little forced with the whole kids stuff. Like I feel like it was always slammed into your face, and I feel like in some scenes it was like I could see this not rubbing people the right way in some ways. They're like this is a little cheesy or a little weird or obsessive or creepy, and I think that was the point though because she is obsessing over kids that aren't technically hers. Like they are hers, but they're not. Which is a good point that Strange mentioned, where he was like, "What about their mother? What are you gonna do to their mother?" She doesn't answer the question. It's like, which I was really happy they got back to that because before I get onto that, I'm gonna say when she took over that other Wanda after the whole killing all the Illuminati, which by the way, my whole theater erupted when we saw Reed Richards. I mean, if you're an Office fan, and if you're actually a Marvel fan, that fan casting becoming a thing was beautiful. Seeing Patrick Stewart as Professor X was amazing. But yeah, everyone clapped, everyone loved it, and I really like how they used Professor X. Mr. Fantastic was Reed was kind of used in a way where it was like it's Reed, but then it's like okay, we saw some stretching, but then basically, yeah, Wanda kills all of them. It is a full-on horror scene, like horror scene. Like she's chasing them down. By the time they were in the tunnel, I was thinking to myself, I was like, man, I really feel bad for this Wanda because I didn't know she had powers. But I was like, oh, she has powers because she was in the middle of the like dimension loop when they had the book, when they were trying to get the book, and she was like, my kids, and I was like, yeah. Also, you're stuck. But then she floated up. I was like, wait, you have powers? So I was like, I guess all of them, all the Wandas, I don't know if they're going to do the mutant thing. I'm not 100% sure. But all of them have the same power. So I was like, okay. But I was like, I guess ours is stronger because she's the Scarlet Witch. Maybe, possibly. So I did like that a little bit because then it was brought back later. And you're like, oh, snap. Okay, she understands. She understands where Wanda can probably come from, like our Scarlet Witch. I'm gonna call her Scarlet Witch. Where Scarlet Witch can come from in terms of her mourning. And I couldn't figure out if what she said at the end was, "Now go be loved," or "You will be loved," or something like. I don't know which one it was. I heard loved. I heard be loved, and I don't know if she was saying you will be or now go be or something. Either way, I don't think she's actually dead. I know at the end she tried to like bury herself with the book, and she destroyed all the other books in the other dimensions. But I think we'll see her later some other time. It'll probably happen right after the mutant stuff is set up and everything. We'll see. Which I think they set up some of that stuff with Patrick Stewart as Professor X. I say Patrick Stewart as Professor X because I don't think that'll be our version of Professor X when we get him. But just because Sir Patrick Stewart's way too old. Like I mean, all props to him. I love him as an actor. I respect him highly, but I just think him going through the MCU as Professor X, it's too late for that. I think if I'm being honest, it's he needs to he needs to take a break. And I love him as Professor X, and I would love if he could live forever, but he can't. So yeah, but I did like the setup. I feel like when he was explaining like if I can save you here, I think you'll get away from this evil part of you. Which I'm not 100% sold if that's just the book. I think that might also be the Scarlet Witch. I'm not 100% sure. Which the book itself, I can't remember its name. It escapes me. But the book as a plot device was cool. I am trying to figure out, and you guys can correct me in the comments. I'm pretty sure that book, the good version of the book, air quotes, was a lie, right? Like the book was a lie. I think that's what Strange realized because the book got destroyed by the Scarlet Witch. But you could see like the book, it got destroyed the same way, and it was like kind of red at the end, and like Strange like it zoomed in on him like looking at it, and it like looked the same way as like the evil version of the book. So what I think, how I interpreted it is what happened is that Strange realized that his version from the Illuminati universe, his version of Strange lied. He lied, so there actually isn't that version of the book. So he used the evil version of that book, and that corrupted him because he was so obsessed with trying to find the book, the actual like good version of the book. So he ended up being more and more obsessed, where he created that singularity where like I forgot what they call it. It starts with an I. I'm sorry. It's late, but yeah. Point is, the universes collided. He killed trillions of people, and yeah. Then he realized his actions once he did it, and he was like, I have to be killed. So yeah, I mean, and that's also what the other Strange said, the corrupt one, where he was like, that book takes a toll on the individual, and I like that fight too with the song notes and everything. I thought it was cool. And then in terms of his love interest, I thought it was interesting that like this other version, she actually came up with a numbering system, which was very cool, saying that yeah, it's 616 is our universe, the MCU universe. So I was like, okay, cool. I like that because a lot of people were kind of debating, well, is it 616? Because that's the comic universe, so I don't know. Maybe they'll do some other thing. No, it is 616. I like that because it kind of makes it's a good call. It's a good call because I think it makes things a little iffy when you think about it. But yeah, it's so fun. Just the interactions between these two different individuals. I'm glad that they didn't have that ending where it's like, oh, now come to my universe, because I was like, yeah, the Illuminati got killed, which by the way, that scene was so crazy. But I like the line where Wanda said, do your kids have a mother? It's like, yes. It's like, good. Then at least there's one parent to look after them. I was like, oh my God. I was like, it's going to be so ironic if Sue, that version of Sue, like meets Wanda. I don't even know what she's gonna do. That'd be nuts. But yeah, that was just something I was like, that is a terrible line, but it works. Um, and we got to see Captain Carter and all that stuff. I like that stuff. I could see. I was like, they're all gonna get killed. They're all gonna get killed. The important ones were just Reed and Professor X. I was like, okay, good. They did that thing. Reed, not so much. I mean, he had that one line, and he exists, so that's what matters. But yeah, Professor X was actually probably more important. And then obviously that was the whole like Sorcerer Supreme is the dude that tries to kill him, the his villain, and the funny interaction where he's like, "I'm starting to realize why your version of me doesn't like Strange very much, or finds you annoying." That was a fun line, but yeah, then so yeah, that universe is still okay. So I was like, you really shouldn't go to Strange's universe just because you guys like you're like, oh, you know what? Actually, we're rekindling this. It's like first off, you've only been together for like a few hours, you know. Like I'm like, don't change universes. That's ridiculous. Plus, Strange has a version of the same person in his universe. Like that's not gonna. So actually, I mean, she said it herself. She was like, "Do you want to risk like a singularity or something happening?" And I was like, this is dumb. Like I was like, this is so corny because I know where it's going, and I'm like, this isn't gonna happen. Um, but yeah, it got very demonic with the whole book stuff. But I thought it made sense. I think the part where people were really quiet was when Strange possessed his dead body, which was very bold of Marvel's part because they basically touched on literal hell and demons coming from hell, so the souls of the damned, right? And Strange getting super horror and like demonic, having the souls as his like wings and hands and stuff. I was like, this is very, very different from the Marvel. I mean, Sony, I understand, but Marvel? Disney? Marvel Studios? The funny thing is, this movie is PG. this movie, this movie is PG. So imagine bringing your 7-year-old to this. You'd be like, it's like, is that like HE double hockey sticks? It's like, no, 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 no. That's. It's like, mom, did she kill them? Oh, by the way, she did. Actually, wait. How is this PG? I don't even think it's PG. Maybe it's PG-13. It has to be, right? Has to be. Oh, we got to see Black Bolt. That was very cool. He was a better version than the one we got in that one Inhuman show. Did not like that one. But yeah, they did him pretty well. I like that they made them really powerful, but at the same time, I really hated like how cocky the Captain Marvel was, and then the Black Bolt was kind of like smirking. I was like, you shouldn't be smirking when you look at this chick. And then immediately his mouth is gone, and then his head blows up. I'm like, this feels like The Boys. Like if you've seen the TV show, this feels like The Boys. I was like, yeah, no, this is gonna be terrible. Everyone was so shocked, and then I blurted out, I was like, yeah, they're all gonna die. Because I was like, you're not at her level. But I think some people were surprised. They were like, oh my god, like, oh my god. I was like, yeah, no, duh, guys, have you been watching the movie? They killed a bunch of things already. Strange died. The version of Strange died already. Of course she's gonna kill these people. And she already killed a bunch of people in the sorcerer's like school and like everything. I was like, duh. Duh. But yeah. Um yeah, I liked how it resolved. I think it wasn't too close, but like I said, I think plot wise, the ending was good for both characters. It was good for Wanda because she got to move on a little bit. Well, move on is a strong word, or at least accept some form of reality, the reality she lives in, which is very interesting because I haven't seen WandaVision. I haven't seen WandaVision, but I kind of got the gist that like she's prophesized as the Scarlet Witch, which is kind of like understood, not understood. I mean, Wong was like the Scarlet Witch, so I mean, he understands like what that means. But yeah, she's prophesized as like either the ruler or the ultimate threat to the multiverse, which I like. I think that works for her character very well because she is that powerful. She's very powerful. So to me, it made sense. Um, so yeah, she is at least accepted the reality that you shouldn't try to go into the dreams, which the dreams are open like windows into other universes. So, she at least accepted that like, okay, I'm gonna accept my universe, which my reality, which Wong said it as well when Strange asked him, Wong, are you happy? Because that was the whole thing. He was lying when he said he's actually not happy. So he tells people he is happy, but he dreams of disaster and everything. And Wanda was so after her own happiness in other universes that Wong said, I mean, I do wonder sometimes what happens in other versions of me's universes, but at the end of the day, I am appreciative with the one I have, which is really all you need. Because when you have powers like that, it's like, buddy, there's too much out there. I mean, there's a universe where they're all paint. Like, how does that even work? When I saw that, I was like, they better get out of this universe because I don't know how they're gonna get out if they're stuck there. Like, if they're not still going in that montage, I'm like, you better hope this isn't the ending point. Because if this is the ending point, and she even name dropped it when he's like, we were paint. She's like, yeah, it's really hard to eat in that universe. I'm like, first off, I think that's the least of your problems. I don't know how you're gonna get like out of there. Because do you even have limbs? Like, how does that work? But they were a cartoon. They were animated. There was a few others, but yeah. But yeah, in terms of plot, I just felt like I was like, well, okay, Strange and Scarlet's story are good. Like Scarlet Witch's story are good. I guess the movie's over. So the girl was kind of, she gets adopted by the school, trying to be a sorceress, I guess. I feel like she'll try to find her parents in her own thing, spin-off thing. And Wong, he played a part. He played a decent part. Um, he got captured twice, I think. I think he got captured twice. So that sucks. That's But hey, and then at the end, Strange got his third eye, which I don't know what that means because I didn't see What If. I know in What If they explore the other Strange and stuff. I know that Evil Strange, I'm pretty sure, is in the What If series, man. I don't know. But he at least, I liked it because I was going into this thinking, this is the one movie where I feel like, did I need to see the other TV shows? And if I'm being completely honest, not really. I think, and that's good. I think that's safe on Marvel's part because not that I don't like the shows, it's just I watch them in my own time, but I feel like it's a risky play. It's a really risky play to be dependent on those shows and the context from there and being like, yeah, we're not gonna explain that much. It's like, no, you explain a decent bit, at least enough to understand. And I think they did a really good job for a movie that is only 2 hours. Like I said, for a Marvel movie, usually they give you so much exposition, Easter eggs, humor, all that stuff. It takes a while to progress through a plot, but for them, they did a really good job. I feel like they didn't, they weren't getting too overly ambitious. They were like, we know what we're doing, we're gonna do it, and there you go. I don't think it was perfect, but it was fine. So yeah, still giving it an 8 out of 10. Let me know what your thoughts were down below. Make sure to give it a little spoiler tag warning if you are gonna say spoilers, so people are aware. Because, like I said, this is non-spoiler and spoiler. But yeah, let me know what you rated the movie, what your favorite parts were. Are you looking forward to Strange 3? I know there was that post-credit scene with that random lady. I think I know who she is. I forget. But she's coming in as like, you caused an incursion. That's what it's called, an incursion. There we go. And he's like, are you ready to fix it? He was in a very like comic booky way. He's like, I'm ready. He opens his third eye. I was like, weren't you just having like a migraine from that? I'm sure in the third film they'll start off from him having the migraine and everything, and him trying to figure out what this thing is, and then she'll show up. But yeah, um, I'm at least glad they showed that in a way because it shows like he is used to the eye. So I'm like, okay, so it's not a huge deal, but I'm like, it's still kind of weird. I don't understand what that's there for, but I'm happy that like it doesn't show all the time. So I wonder what it does. Like maybe his third eye is his like evolution to he's not Sorcerer Supreme, but to the master of sorcery. So yeah, yeah. So I mean, with that said, if you guys like this review, you know what to do. Let out the like button, smash up that sub button, give that bell your best. You know how that goes. Next time's next vid. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Take care. Oh, I'll see you in the next video you choose to watch or the next comic book related video you choose to watch on my channel. Take care, peace, and goodbye.